Welcome to Salvage, a podcast for conversations with artists about the repurposed materials they use in their art practice. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Salvage. Today we're going back to the conversation I shared a little while ago about the Repurposer Collective's collaborative art project called Currents of Connection. Let me remind you what Currents of Connection is. Here's the statement. In a culture that prizes self-reliance, Currents of Connection invites us to remember the elemental force that binds every life on Earth, water. From the amniotic seas within our bodies to the tides that sculpt our coastlines, water links us across distances, languages, and circumstances. So this project, I layered NASA and Britannia ocean current maps with my own photographs of clouds and waves, so weaving scientific data and lived experience into one tapestry, and had the members of the collective take sections of the work and create their versions of it, which were then put together into one 32-foot long tapestry of varying techniques, varying materials, all repurposed materials though, and it's 32 feet long and 6 feet wide. Really an amazing artwork. So this is 6 more members of the Repurposer Collective giving you their take on participating in this project. Enjoy. First, let's welcome Joni Scher. Thank you for agreeing to the interview. I would love to know what made you decide to participate in the collaborative project.
Well, the collaborative project to me, when you started describing it in the very beginning, I said, I'm in. I mean, the whole concept of everybody working together on one piece and everybody having their own spin on it within a framework was exciting. It's like, you're a part of it. Makes you feel you're part of a group, but you're also an individual within a group. And you have a very open-ended theme or concept that you can adapt and put your own spin on without feeling like you are a carbon copy or lockstep with someone else. The whole idea of connection and water and earth, it was all a perfect combination of working together as a team. It was great. It was exciting.
I'm so glad. Oh, I'm so glad that yes, I do remember when I first was talking about it, you were an instant in. You were one of the first people who were like, I'm in. Come in.
Yeah.
No questions.
Just in. I saw no downside. I thought first of all, this whole idea of working together, the concept of what we're all doing and repurposing is a team in itself, in a small little bucket in a world of consumption. And I feel we're working against it. And the whole concept of this, we're really working upstream, going upstream to fight something that's bigger than us, but in a beautiful, interesting, thoughtful, artistic way. And I love it.
Oh, I'm so glad. So what were your first thoughts when you received your block?
Well, my first thoughts, I had to figure out how to make it the right size because it was small. So I knew it was bigger than I had, and I had to figure out how to do that. So once I figured that out, and to me, it was just, I work this way anyway. I work kind of abstractly. Thought of the fact of water. There's everything positive about this for me. The fact that it was water, so the colors I had. So I had to start organizing what I had, my material-wise, figuring out how to make that look like water. And I knew that whatever I did in the middle was fine within the parameters, but I also needed to know what my edges had to match up. So I had to think about what I was going to do and what someone else might do. So that's how I started doing it.
Mm-hmm. And what were the techniques that you used to create your block? Because that was a pretty big block.
Mine was a big
one
block.
Of the bigger ones.
So I laid it out on the floor in my studio. My studio is pretty big, but I laid it out so I could look at different things. I knew the one thing was always a given, that it was going to be some sort of a free motion stitching on it in some way. That was always going to be a given. But then I had to figure out well, what I was going to use as materials that would flow for me, that would flow into someone else. So I just started pulling out materials, and the thing that I had the most of, and the thing that made the most sense to me was like these bags they were putting newspapers in. And to me, that was such the irony of the whole thing. That's why I did the other piece with it also. The fact that you're using plastic to wrap paper to keep paper dry was just too funny for me. So I knew that's what I was going to use. The browns were a little harder, but not that much. I mean, I have so many other pieces of plastic that I could use to do that. And then the overlying thread was to think about like the swirls in the water, and that was going to be white. So that for
Mm.
me, that was pretty easy.
Did you learn anything while you were making them? Making
I
this
did
piece?
because first of all, even though I was laying it out, I was making judgments as I went, thinking, okay, this is what mine's going to be like. What happens if I don't exactly match up with someone else? And what happens with the edges? And how do I know that the swirls are going to be enough with someone else's swirl? And I actually went back and added some to more green to some of the blue to
Mm.
make sure that the swirls of the water current was actually more dominant than just the white thread. So that's what I was doing to kind of, as I went, I made adjustments.
Hmm.
So that was a learning process. It's always a learning process.
Yes, yeah, I agree. And I know you're unfortunately a little too far away to have seen the finished product all in person. But I know you've seen the videos, the images. So what do you think? How did it turn out to you?
I think it's fabulous. I think it's so exciting and so cool. I feel like now I've traveled a lot and I've walked into the different spaces recently where they have all these walls of art that are projected,
Mm,
and then they put you into it. This I feel is much more real. It's more tactile because I feel like I'm in it. I
mm.
feel like you're really in the water and being part of this as being projected to it.
Would you participate in another collaborative project?
Absolutely. There's no doubt. I'm already thinking of them. I mean, you already mentioned you were going to do another one, so I'm already thinking about community. So,
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I haven't had time to give it much thought. Yeah, I'm game to do another one.
me too. I think this
Yeah.
is great. No, what I wanted to add is that, I feel like you're our art cheerleader, and I'm really enjoying that. So, I think I've needed that. I've been looking for a group like this for a long time, and this is enlightening. I love it.
Oh, good. I'm so glad because, I've never been a cheerleader, but I'm perfectly happy to be an art cheerleader.
Yeah, I mean, most of us as artists are never cheerleaders, but this in a way is, you know, it's really good.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Please welcome Diane Janesco. So, thank you so much for joining me today to indulge me asking a few questions. What convinced you to join this collaborative project of ours?
It just seemed like a really cool idea, and to be a part of something bigger,
Mhm.
and it gave me a goal and something to work towards, and it just seemed really interesting, and I like the idea, I like the whole big project thing of it.
Oh, good, good, good. So what were your first thoughts when you received that email with the block from me?
Like, okay, how do I print this out? Because my printer never works. So I tried it on my printer and it came up all dorky. So I actually had to go to the library and print it out
Oh,
and tile it. And, I watched some of your videos on how you did things. I thought, well, I better get some information before I start this thing since I've never worked in plastic before. So yeah, I just got really into it,
good.
and I followed your demo videos and just got right into it.
Awesome, awesome. So I guess because you've never worked with plastic before, you definitely learned a lot from making your block.
True, yeah. It's very slippery. Uh, it does have the transparency, a lot of it, so you can overlay them. And it sort of it bunches up if, if I was sewing too fast, or
Ah.
if maybe the substrate wasn't strong enough, will
Mm.
kind of crinkle.
What do you
I
think?
know.
How did it turn out?
I thought it worked out great how they all fit together. And like you mentioned, some of them really, really connect, like they're, continuous, and some of them are a little bit different and more, the colors and the
Mhm.
uh, shapes. So I thought it worked out really, really good for such a big project, for
Mhm.
pieces coming in from, 20 different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So would you participate in another collaborative project if I had a harebrained idea?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yay. Because I'm already working on a harebrained idea.
Okay.
Please welcome Marion Rich. Well, thank you, Marion, for joining me for this conversation.
Thank
I'm
you for
so
having
pleased that you can be here.
me.
So what convinced you to participate in this collaborative project of ours?
Yeah, it's funny. I've been thinking about that. I think it's a bit of a story, starting with when I met you and saw your studio and the show
Ah,
that you
yes,
had.
that's
Uh,
right. You came to our first annual exhibition
I did.
before joining.
I did. And I think I joined because I wanted to support the effort.
Mhm.
It's less because I want to work with plastic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hmm.
Which I never really thought about. I'm a collage artist mostly. I do some drawing and other
Hmm.
things, but mostly I'm into collage and I use paper.
Right.
But I guess I had come back from this trip in February that I took to Cancun by myself for my birthday, which was really great. And every morning I would collect plastic on the beach. And I made art out of it when I got home. So there was definitely synergy.
Yes.
And when the project came up, I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I can be part of this collective. And I'm a collective kind of person. I've lived my life as part of a collective, and I like collective activities.
You're
So
in the right place.
yeah, so this project was a great way to dive in.
So what were your first thoughts when you received your block from me?
I was like, oh boy, oh boy, uh, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Okay, what am I going to do? So I think the first thing I got into was, okay, I've got to find blue plastic because there was so much water in my piece,
Right.
Chilly
What
today.
techniques did you use to construct your block?
I don't even know that I would call them techniques. The first thing I had to figure out was, well, my husband's an obsessive Mets fan. So then I realized the Mets blue
Ah.
was the right color blue. So I had these like towels that they hand out at a game, so you could do this,
Oh, okay.
blue towels and say Mets. So I had a bunch of those.
Hmm.
I think I also had an old Mets t-shirt or something. But then I had to figure out like what's the substrate?
Hmm.
That was like the first huge dilemma.
You are one of the few members who lives close enough that you got to see the finished
Yeah.
product, at the Unison Art Center. What do you think? How did it turn out?
Oh my God, I just thought it was exquisite. Yeah, I walked into that space and I just like lit up. Wow, look at what we created. It was just very beautiful. Yeah, I thought it was gorgeous. I was so impressed with just the amount of creativity in the pieces. how different they were, and yet how they, it's like us, like humans, right? We're so different and we're all the same,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I love
Uh,
that metaphor.
yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we live in a culture where we're all different is what gets the focus, the individual. Uh, but of course, the beauty of human life and creativity is the collective, because without each other, we couldn't do shit.
Absolutely. I agree completely.
Yeah, so that was lovely. And also, some of the members are textile artists, fiber artists, and
Yes.
sewers, which I'm not. I've done some.
Well, it's actually interesting that some of the people who sewed their blocks, they were doing it for the first time.
Interesting. Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
how do you like that?
yeah. I mean, I'm happy that anyone is experimenting and doing things however they do it, but
Yeah,
I think it's always wonderful to try new technique. Why not, right?
yeah, yeah.
That's how you grow.
I just want to say, really, Natalia, that mostly I'm part of your group because of you.
Aw,
Because I just think what you're doing is really important. And so I thought, even if I don't do much of anything, I want to be of support,
aw, thank
whatever
you.
way you can. And I think that attracted me to the project.
Hmm.
Oh, here's this great way to participate and support.
Right.
So
Well, thank you. I really
you.
deeply appreciate it. I do. Well, I'm sure you can guess that this episode was brought to you by the Repurposer Collective. Our doors are open just for a few days longer. They close at the end of the month, April 30th. So just a few days left to join us. If you like what you're hearing and you want to take your creative reuse practice to a whole new level, this is the community for you. Go to repurposercollective.com and click the link to join. And now back to our conversation. Please welcome Neha Luhar. Thank you, Neha, for joining me here. What made you decide that you wanted to be a part of a collaborative project like this?
I participated in group shows before in which, everyone maybe contributed something that was thematic, but I liked the fact that we were all making something in our own style and method, but to contribute to the overall whole, that the piece wasn't complete without everyone's participation.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved the fact that it was a collaboration, but without maybe some of the sometimes you're trying to agree on something and you're not quite communicating what you want, and you're working with someone else and you're trying to trying to come to a compromise. I appreciated the fact that it was facilitated in such a way that everything was resolved regarding, the any kind of disparate argument you may have had in the in between, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thrive oftentimes when I'm frustrated in my practice with some limitations. So the size given that go with this, like that is a challenge to me that I like that, because my mind likes problem solving and doing things that are outside of my realm of comfort.
I've participated in projects like this in the past as well, but it was the first time that I was in charge of a project like this. I thrive on limitations as well for my work, and I was hoping, exactly like you said, that others would enjoy the challenge, a completely different challenge. So I'm so glad that you did. When you first received your block from me, the image of it, what were your first thoughts?
Honestly, I was looking at it. I think I was looking at it on my email. I just thought, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? It just really got me at first stumped. Like, what will I do where I'm at? If I'm saying I'm going to make the best out of it with what I have, I'm looking at this pile of materials, but what do I do? And so I was just kind of paralyzed, I think, probably for at least the first week, at least. And I'm not good at starting things immediately. I'm a procrastinator anyway.
I understand. I'm very deadline driven myself.
But I knew I wanted to do it. I knew it was going to happen.
Mhm.
I just couldn't picture, I didn't immediately picture what was really going to happen with it. And I think part of it was because being part of the project helped me to do something I've always wanted to do, which is I was living in a household with someone who is a very creative quilter. And we've always talked about my learning how to sew or us working on something together, but it never really happened. But the project and my problem solving and verbally discussing it with her helped kind of form create that catalyst of ideas to do it. It wasn't because she had the ideas, she was just trying to help me execute what I was trying to figure out.
Right. So that's perfect, actually, because the next question I was going to ask you is what techniques did you use to create
Okay.
your block?
Well, it was the whole thing was such an experiment for me. I have never done anything of this nature. I had, of course, initially planned, I'm going to hand stitch this and I'm going to use this plastic and I'm going to whatever. And then because of going through my studio, I was going through 3-4 boxes of paper and ephemera and stuff, like at least once a week, and literally being merciless, just pitching, had like 3 different piles, recycling, must keep, and donate to a group kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
So this is what I was doing every night until my back hurt, and then I would stop. But anyway, so I was looking through these papers, and all of a sudden, because I had sorted things by color, I started thinking about some of these papers as the land, and and I started kind of creating this calico sort of papery thing on a table, like not glued down really or anything, just trying to figure out, could I cut it? What was I doing? Prior to, I had gone to, because I didn't have access to a printer that would print the image tiled, I had gone to a local print shop, and they gave me a big grief about,
Oh,
you want
no.
this printed this big, it's going to cost you $55, blah, blah, blah. And I kept saying, well, I need to follow the pattern and the form of that shot, that aerial shot in the water. But I said, I don't need anything high quality. And I guess he thought I was doing it for school, like a teaching project. And so in the end, when it came time, he did it on a very low quality paper. And when it came time to pay, he was like, this took me a while to figure out how to get this done, whatever. You can just have it.
Oh, that's so nice.
And it was so nice because I was very frustrated at the time. And, you think you're going in to get something printed, like, oh, I'll be in here 15 minutes and 45 minutes later. But anyway, so I'm sorry, I'm off topic with the
No, it's interesting because, I was trying to figure out the least expensive way that everybody could print it. And I know some people have printers at home, some people do not. So I researched various ways, but then you never know what is actually going to happen where that person lives. So I'm so glad that you did get it for free because it could have been very expensive.
It could have been. And I was fretting because I said, well, I really don't want to spend more than $40 on this. Because how ironic is it that the materials used for the actual piece cost me nothing? They're just remnants of life. And one of the big points of meaning for me was with all this paper that I've saved. I mean, it's years, maybe decades of this stuff that I was really kind of forced to confront, right? And so one of the things in there was, I guess it was an envelope, like from India, from my grandfather, from years and years and years ago. I'm not even sure it was a letter addressed to me. It was just something from his camera manuals and some personal effects that I had gotten that was sort of left over. And the texture of that paper and the feeling of it was what actually kind of got me excited to like complete it and keep going.
That's so cool.
And no one would know. I mean, if you look at the piece, you can actually see like his name and the address of where he was at the time. But I wouldn't even say it's sentimental at this time. It's more like I've gotten so used to having these things around. Do I really need them around? And then it felt really good that I could use it for the project instead of just throwing it in the garbage or putting it back in the pile of, stuff I can't figure out what to do with.
Right.
Right.
Well, I'm happy that this project helped you purge.
It did. And then it just kind of organically became this other thing, right? Because of the bodies of water. That was what I was kind of trying to emphasize on. And then I had made my new canine friend at the house that I was staying with. And he happened to be murdering this toy that was shades of blue.
How perfect.
Right. And so it just kind of, I mean, it literally is like, make this with what you literally have in front of you, and I liked the immediacy of it. And I wish I hadn't discovered that I enjoyed it so much towards the end of my stay, because I would have liked to make a few more pieces in that feel just for myself with other things I had.
Well, maybe you can still go back to that.
So I could maybe go back to that. I think the most fun part was putting it through the long arm loom, though.
Oh, it was a long arm machine. It wasn't a regular sewing machine.
No. And so I was
now I'm jealous.
Yeah, right. I was really lucky. She's this gifted quilter. So she does all of her piecing and everything upstairs in like a loft area. And then downstairs, there's like a sunroom where the loom is, so you can really see. And good lighting for nighttime stuff too, if that's what you need. And so we had fun. I think she was very tickled watching me kind of guide it around and, futz around, because she had spent a lot of time creating patterns, right? And I was just trying to follow the lay of the quadrants of the land on the section of the map.
Yeah, you were freestyling.
I was freestyling.
Oh, that's so cool. I didn't realize that you did it on a long arm machine. That's fun.
Yeah,
I've always wanted to play with one.
Right?
I mean, I have played it, at like shows and stuff, but I've never really played with one as in making my own artwork with it. So now
I have a feeling you would be amazing with it. I feel like after that, you won't look at some of your hand piecing the same, because you get such an enormous amount of detail and things done, but not that it's automated, because you are really literally handles your hand.
It's
on
more
the
of
handles.
a full body experience.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it can get away from you really quickly, but it can also be a fun way to steer something and take control of something that you had no idea you could have control.
Well, I'm glad that this was your creative outlet in a time when it was needed, and in a time that you could do it to be part of the project too.
Yeah, I really wanted to be. It was important to me. Yeah. So.
Oh, that's so exciting. Thank you so much. What do you think? How do you think it turned out?
I think it turned out so beautifully. I wondered in my mind while I was imagining it whether even my contribution would flow into the other pieces, or would it look pieced together. Honestly, I couldn't, I mean, unless you were going to really scrutinize something more up close of the breaks between each of the quadrants, I just thought it flowed together so beautifully. It seemed so continuous and expansive. I just was marveling at how large it is.
Yes.
And the fact that you had this vision and then put it together, it looked like a continuous piece, as I said. It must have been really strange when you took it, when you deinstalled it to take all the pieces
It
back
was
apart,
sad.
because they were all this harmonious family. Worlds different than, say, pieces of a puzzle that are notched that fit together.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was just so different. And I feel like it belongs together. Like, I could never imagine you saying, hey, right now, hey, the project is over. Would you like your piece back? Your section of this
Yeah.
beautiful thing would just be so strange.
Well, you can't have it back yet. I
Nope, I
assume
don't
that
want that.
eventually you will get it back, but I have high hopes of exhibiting it again, so you can't have it back yet. Please welcome Debbie Kaufman. Thank you, Debbie, for joining me for this little conversation.
Absolutely.
My first question to you is, what convinced you to participate in the collaborative project?
I am doing a lot of collaborations, and I've done collaborations for years with the quilting. When you quilt for somebody else, that's just part of my everyday thing.
Mhm.
The chance to collaborate with so many at one time was kind of a draw. And we're all kind of speaking the same language. We're all talking about the same things. So that was another draw, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. What were your first thoughts when you received your block from me?
I don't know that I knew had really looked at the entire image. So I was confused about what was what. When you get a piece of it, you're like, where does this fit? Yeah, I was confused, but it didn't take long. Got it figured out.
And what techniques did you use to construct your block?
I work for the most part with a long arm. And so I wanted the image looked like I could use the technique where I cut the strips of plastic and couch them with the couching foot on the long arm. I had done that for your lily pads at one time.
Oh, that's how that was done. Okay.
And I thought, I bet that could work, especially in the top portion.
Mhm.
And it did. It did. I did some applique type stuff and then the couching. The bottom portion goes back to the long arm history. I learned a long time ago that layering is important. So underneath the bottom portion, I wanted to add some depth, some dimension. So I layered battings. There's a piece of the couch. We bought a new couch last year. It's wrapped in all this nasty foam. So there's a piece of that on the bottom, and then there's a piece of cotton, and then there's a piece of wool on top of that to
Oh,
get
wow.
that dimension. And when you quilt that, it really puffs.
Yeah, because your piece is really dimensional. I did
Yeah.
not realize that's how you did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a quilting thing. A lot of custom long armors layer that poly or wool, and then or poly or cotton with the wool on top to get that dimension.
Was there anything that you learned while creating the block?
I needed to remember that technique, the layered batting, eats up the length. So I needed to like somehow elongate the bottom portion, but leave the top portion. Yeah, note to self.
Right. Would you do your block differently if you had to do it again?
I would just alter that bottom. That's the only thing I wasn't super thrilled about because we wanted it all fit together nicely and
Yeah.
it shrinks up a couple inches.
Yeah. I think it worked out though.
Yeah.
For me, I think visually for me, so the bottom portion is a wave of water essentially. So looking at the whole thing together, for me, it was important for that crest of the wave to match up. And if anything didn't quite match up below that crest, that didn't feel as
Disrupted.
long. Yeah, it just like, and that crest matched up perfectly.
Oh, yay. Happy accident.
Yeah. So what do you think? How did it turn out?
I think it's fantastic. It was really fun to work with everybody and see how it fit together. And I mean, that's the thing with community type projects that I'm learning is that you just don't know. And you have to be ready to take a left turn or alter or fudge just a little bit. And I think it looks great. I would love to see it all in person, all 30 feet of it up close.
Yes, all 32 feet of it.
32. Yeah, I think
Oh,
I think you lose a little bit in the video in the images to get up close and actually see the other techniques and the other materials people use would be really cool too.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Do you think that if I got a harebrained idea for another collaborative project, you would participate?
Oh, probably in a heartbeat.
Okay, good.
It went really, really well as far as my part of it.
Hmm.
Um, I had done so many of those techniques before. It went smoothly. So minor tweaks here and there, that's kind of typical.
Right. Yeah. I think most of us as artists accept to tweak something, expect
Mhm.
to tweak something at some time or another, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Especially working with the materials that we work with. Right.
Yes.
Please welcome Carol Paik. Thank you, Carol, for agreeing to chat with me.
You're welcome anytime. I chat with you anytime.
Yes. I would love to know what convinced you to join our collaborative project.
Well, it was kind of obvious. I mean, I'll always do anything collaborative with you.
Aw.
So, and collaboration is an interesting thing. I've sort of learned over the years that it doesn't always work out for the best, but I happen to know with the group that we have sharing particular objectives that it was going to be great. And of course, I'd seen the mural, so I knew that it was going to be really an interesting project. But basically, if you asked, I would do it.
I'm so glad to hear that because I'll
Oh,
be asking
so
again
far,
and
yes.
again. Okay, so you actually did two blocks for the project. And I think I sent you your first block first, and then later on you said you'd do another one. So when you received your very first block, what were your first thoughts?
The first block was actually easier because there were a couple of different colors and a couple of different textures. So I could sort of immediately see how I could use the brown paper, and the materials I had on hand pretty easily, you know, would work with the piece
Hmm.
that you gave me. The second piece was harder because it was almost all that one dark blue with the swirly things in it.
Hmm.
So that was a little more of a challenge, I thought, to use, repurposed materials. But the first one seemed pretty easy, which is, I guess, why I said I would do a second one.
So what techniques did you use for both of your blocks?
I mean, I think they were pretty much well, the first one because there was paper in it. So I'm trying to think now, there was a little more collage involved and a little more plastic because there was a greater range of colors, I think. So it was some sewing, some collage. I'm trying to remember now. I think, yeah, there was a lot more paper. And then the second one was much more stitching
Hmm.
because it had
Yes,
that
you did.
large blue field.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, by the time I did the second one, I had then had the chance to see some of the squares that other people were making, and I was like, oh no, I'm going to have to really work on this piece because the standard was so high, the quality was so high of the pieces that I saw coming in. Not to say I didn't make an effort for the first piece, but for the second one, the pressure really was on.
That's funny. Well, I think both pieces worked great. Did you learn anything new while making those two pieces?
Yeah, I mean, I think I volunteered. I was like, oh, sure, I can do this. It's actually really hard to work larger when you're trying to make it fit into a big piece, because just simply sort of transferring the image was just a much greater challenge
Hmm.
when you're working with such a large piece. I mean, ordinarily it doesn't trouble me to work large because I'm not trying to match sides
Yeah.
or. So, I guess the takeaway is always that working with others presents unique challenges that don't arise when you're working with just by yourself,
Yeah.
which is always a useful thing to remember, just metaphorically.
That is true. Would you do anything differently next time if you had to, like, say, same project needed to be repeated, something happened? Would you do anything differently?
With my particular pieces,
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of anything offhand. I mean, I think each piece that you gave out probably presented its own unique challenges. I was looking at some of the other pieces that had more of the white in them, and I
Yes.
was so interested in how people, solve those problems. So I think each square presented its own set of issues. With the ones I was given, I mean, I'm happy with the way they turned out, and I think seeing them next to the other pieces was really interesting.
Well, that's actually brings me to my next question. Because you were there to help me install it, you were actually the very first person besides me to see the whole thing come together. What did you think? How did it turn out?
Well, I mean, it's always so interesting to see how different people interpret similar things. And and it was fascinating to see each individual piece. I think maybe the image itself was so varied that it was hard if you stood back from it, you could definitely see it. I think it was, if you wanted to make a mural that where the image that you're trying to project is clearer, you might have needed a clearer, like stronger lines
Yes.
but I think it turned out really well in that the message you're trying to project was not necessarily that specific.
Yeah.
It was more about the ocean and and the planets. And I think that came across. I think, I'm trying to think of other examples of a large scale mural like that. Obviously, it's easier if it's a very recognizable, very concrete, clearly defined image
Hmm.
that you want to, like a portrait of a person or something,
Yeah.
it would need to be very clearly delineated. But I think this worked out very well. I mean, I think when you came up with that image in the first place, you had something, you were aware that people were going to interpret it differently.
Yeah. And I couldn't have predicted how they interpreted it. Like there was just no way to
Yeah, and I was
predict that.
actually, I mean, the fact that they fit together as well as they did was pretty amazing because I knew just from translating, my own piece from the small work into to scale that's hard. It's just technically difficult to do
Yeah.
that. So I
Yeah.
think people's pieces matched up astonishingly well.
Yeah. Some people are like, it's like they worked next to each other or something. It was really quite incredible. So if I came up with another collaborative project, would you be game again?
Probably. No, I mean the magnitude of your ambition and vision is really inspiring, and I love to be part of it. So, I mean, if the timing were right, I would certainly do it. It's just a question of timing. But I think, yeah, you should always count on me.
Awesome. Thank you. I will always count on you. Thanks for being here today. I hope you enjoyed our conversations, and I'll see you next time. This podcast was created, produced, and edited by me, Natalia Korover. Theme music by R.C. Gaida. To find out more about me, go to artbynatalia.com. To find out about my community, go to repurposercollective.com. And to learn with me, check out all my offerings at ecoloop.art. Thank you for listening.